sick and tired of the negative, dark, divisive, dangerous vision and behavior of people who support Donald Trump. It's time for us to say no. We are not going backwards.
So the Kamala Harris campaign has hit a boiling point after last night's Al Smith charity dinner where Trump did show up and she didn't. I'm sure you guys have heard it by now, but God, I mean, he just roasted her. The comedian on site roasted her. And in all fairness, she roasted herself with her cringe video that they allowed her to send in and play while their dinner took place. So what we're going to do is react to the clips, the delusional excuses that the other side is coming up with, and talk about it. Let's start with her actual cringe video, okay?
Your Eminence and distinguished guests, the Al Smith Dinner provides a rare opportunity to set aside partisanship.
Cool. Oh, sorry.
Hey, what's going on? Who was that?
Oh, sorry, Mary Catherine Elliott. Mary Catherine Elliott. It's so nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you, Mary Catherine. Right now I'm trying to record my speech for tonight's dinner.
Oh, yeah, I know. I just want to say that I'm Catholic, and tonight is one of the biggest dinners next to the Last Supper.
It is a very important dinner, and it's an important tradition that I'm so proud to be a part of.
Sometimes when I get nervous, I stick my fingers under my arms and I simmer them like that. But that's gross.
So tell me something. I'm giving a speech. Do you have some thoughts about what I might say tonight?
My feelings about what you should say tonight would be best expressed in a monologue from one of my favorite made-for-TV series.
Okay, let's hear it.
Don't you see, man? We need a woman to represent us. A woman brings more heart, more compassion. And think how smart she must be to become a top contender in a field dominated by men. It's time for a woman, bro. And with this woman, we can fly.
What series was that from?
Oh, that's from House of Dragons, now streaming on HBO Max.
Is there anything that you think that maybe I shouldn't bring up tonight?
Well, don't lie. Thou shalt not bear false witness to thy neighbor.
Indeed, especially thy neighbor's election results.
Just so you know, there will be a fact checker there tonight.
Oh, that's great. Who?
Jesus. And maybe don't say anything negative about Catholics.
I would never do that, no matter where I was. That would be like criticizing Detroit in Detroit.
Does it bother you that Trump guy insults you all the time? Because it really bothers my friends and me.
Oh, Mary Catherine, it's very important to always remember you should never let anyone tell you who you are. You tell them who you are.
Haters gonna hate. Shake it off.
Shake it off.
Shake it off.
Shake it off. Good for you, Mary Catherine.
Oh, yeah, okay. And also remember one more thing. Don't worry if you make a mistake, because Catholic people are very forgiving. Yeah, and also one last thing I want to tell you. Don't forget to say, superstar!
Thank you, Mary Catherine.
Thank you, Kamala.
Thank you.
So obviously whoever came up with that video should be fired. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I don't think anything in that video was funny. I mean, just being objectively fair here, you know how some people, they're just not funny? Okay, she's just not funny. Or whoever wrote it prevented her from being funny, because I know she is able to laugh more than all of us probably combined. And so if the whole point of the dinner was to raise money and during that process roast your competitor, she did have a weird and awkward way of showing that. Now, what about what former President Trump had to say and how much he roasted her? Check out these top 5 clips.
I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods, but then I met Tim Walz. Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me earlier that I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris. Doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me. A major issue in this race is child care, and Kamala has put forward a concept of a plan. A lot of people don't like it. The only piece of advice I would have for her in the event that she wins would be not to let her husband, Doug, anywhere near the nannies. Just keep them away. That's a nasty one. Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't it look lovely? It looks lovely. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become. If Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
Now, I recommend you watch the entire thing, and I'll link it to in the description below. But here's the bottom line. He had a lot of jokes. Some of them were very funny. Some of them were kind of serious because you knew the context of what he was saying. Some of it you definitely saw in the room that people were triggered. And so I give his overall performance an A. But you know who actually did a better job, in my personal opinion, was the comedian Jim Gaffigan. Okay, and I might have butchered his last name, but anyways, I digress. I mean, he just came out really swinging on Kamala Harris. Here's some of his clips.
You know, this event has been referred to as the Catholic Met Gala. 22% of Americans identify as Catholic. Catholics will be a key demographic in every battleground state. I'm sorry, why is Vice President Harris not here? I mean, consider this. This is a room full of Catholics and Jews in New York City. This is a layup for the Democratic nominee. I mean, in her defense, I mean, she did find time to appear on The View, Howard Stern, Colbert, and the longtime staple of campaigning, the Call Her Daddy podcast. President Biden couldn't be here tonight. The DNC made sure of that. That's... I guess I'm the only one that reads history. The media has begun discussing the phenomena of secret Trump voters. I don't know if you've heard about this. People who publicly say they would never vote for Trump, but then when they go in the voting booth, they do. It's a small group. They're called the Biden family. The Democrats have been telling us Trump's re-election is a threat to democracy. In fact, they were so concerned of this threat, they staged a coup, ousted their democratically elected incumbent, and installed Kamala Harris. In other words, all her dreams have come true. Really? It really makes you consider the power of prayer, right, Cardinal? Sometimes prayers take 3.5 years and a George Clooney op-ed.
So obviously everyone was fair game during that dinner, and I think we need more of these because that's what's wrong with this country today. We've become too politically correct, and we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. So please, can we have more of that? That's why the truth matters on this channel, especially common sense, which brings us to today's sponsor, Ground News. You can check them out at ground.news/Devori. This is a tool that can help us actually look at the story that we're talking about today, the Al Smith dinner, and show us how the different media outlets are reporting this story because we know there's bias in the media. So if you go over to ground.news, search Al Smith dinner, and then what you'll see is it'll give us a summary up at the top. And it'll give us a summary based on the left's perspective. But what's more important, if you scroll down, it brings in all of the articles from the different media outlets organized by what side are we talking, the left, the center, or the right. So as you can see on the left, CNN reported Trump insults Harris at Al Smith dinner. We know that wasn't what it was. It was a roast, okay? These guys are so funny. And then on the right, it says Trump jokes Harris skipped Al Smith dinner to get communion from Whitmore. So as you guys can see, you get to compare how the different media outlets are reporting. Also, bigger picture is all of these articles, if you add them up, what side of the political spectrum does it lean towards most? Now, one more tool I want to show you guys that I think is cool is called Blind Spot. That way you know that you're reading a story that only one side is truly reporting, but not the other side. And yes, they do have a browser extension and a mobile app. And yes, it does include all the same features that you've seen in this video. So what I want you to do right now, if you're like me, you are common sense, you want to do your own research, go over to ground.news/Devori so you can get 40% off the Vantage plan. You can also click on the link in the description below or in my pinned comment. Again, that is ground.news/Devori. You'll get 40% off the Vantage plan, and it'll give you the ability to do your own research like we've been doing during this video. Okay, so I think it's a great time to check out some of the reactions from the left and the right so we can compare. And might as well start with the evil women from The View because we know he roasted them as well. Here's what The View had to say.
Thank you, Cardinal Dolan, for this wonderful moment. So is this Catholic Church event normalizing a guy who's already broken 11 of the 10 commandments? Yeah. What do you think?
I think so. You know, I hate to break with tradition because this is a tradition, and it's a tradition to have both presidential candidates come to this particular dinner. But sometimes there's a time to break tradition. You can't have a felon, a liar, a serial cheater. You know, he had Melania next to him, his third wife, who he cheated with Stormy Daniels on while she was pregnant. I think he stands against everything and flies in the face of everything that a Catholic believes and holds dear. He is not a faithful man.
Yeah, well, the same could be said for Kamala Harris. She's a liar. Her husband clearly gets busy with the nannies. She also loves abortion, clearly, and she doesn't care about any restrictions. So she violates everything that Catholics believe in as well. But are you going to say that? Of course you're not. That's how biased these people are. So the common theme at this point, because her campaign is in desperation mode, is her surrogates are having such a tough time defending her. So the women on The View, everything they say is a contradiction. And I thought the person who actually brought this point home very nicely was Scott Jennings, because we know he has common sense. Check out this clip.
In weeks, what do you think voters think about that?
Not much, really. I mean, I think Bill Clinton's been a terrible surrogate so far, honestly. I mean, the last two times we saw him in public, once he was making the case about how Kamala Harris has failed on immigration by invoking the Laken Riley situation and saying that the Biden-Harris administration not properly vetted the illegal immigrants who killed her.
Yeah, he also criticized Republicans for sinking the bipartisan border deal too.
Fine. And then secondly, we saw him at the funeral for Ethel Kennedy making bizarre, like quasi-sexual references about her. I mean, he's been a terrible surrogate. And Obama was a terrible surrogate. And Harris was terrible on Fox News the other night. This is a campaign that cannot find a way to land the plane. And she's skipping the Catholic dinner. At the same time, one of her top surrogates is out cutting bizarre videos mocking communion. And I'm talking about the governor of Michigan, Whitmer. And so they have problems with Catholics. There's polling showing that Trump is bouncing back to 2016 levels with Catholics. They got problems with their surrogates, and they got a problem with a candidate who can't answer basic questions about the economy and immigration. I think Trump's okay today.
Okay, so now I want to show you a clip that I don't think you're going to believe what you're about to watch, because you wouldn't expect this coming from CNN. But what he said is exactly how anybody with a brain should feel about the dinner. Check it out.
Brian Stelter, what did you make of this performance?
Oh, no, don't ask me first. I thought he was funny. I thought he actually got a few great jokes in. I thought the best moment was we talked about the assassination attempts and made light of what he's experienced, because I think he's experiencing real trauma, real PTSD as a result of the shootings, but he's still able to have a light moment in this room. And he took advantage of the fact that Kamala Harris wasn't there.
Which is really the subtext
that he
of this
kept,
whole thing.
Exactly. That she
They're usually supposed to be in the same room.
Okay, did you see Abby Phillipps' face? I mean, she just couldn't believe that Brian would say something like that. She was hoping that they would go ahead and throw a couple of bombs at Trump for doing what he did, like we saw in the Ground News, where, CNN's article is like, oh, yeah, Trump insults Harris. Of course he does. It's a roast. What are you talking about? Okay, so the state of the race right now, Trump has the momentum. He is surging. The polls have shifted in his favor. She's scrambling. She's in desperation mode. This is why they're now moving to more dangerous rhetoric out of their mouth, saying that Trump is a threat to democracy. Trump is bad. Trump is bad. And she's getting away from the joy and also specifying what her policy positions are. And that's how you know she's in trouble.
I'm sick and tired of the negative, dark, divisive, dangerous vision and behavior of people who support Donald Trump. It's time for us to say no. We are not going backwards. We're for the next 7 days. We focus
And that's why people are speculating, and I'm going to say the key word, speculation. But on X, I'm seeing more stories just like the one I'm about to share with you. Check this out. Major drama within the Kamala Harris campaign this morning. A source reveals that Harris screamed at and angrily berated her campaign manager, Julie Chavez, for over 30 minutes on the phone this morning. The source shares that Chavez advised Kamala not to attend the Al Smith dinner because it could send the wrong message and risk alienating LGBTQ and pro-abortion voters as she was seen cozying up to Catholics. Instead, Chavez suggested a compromise of sending in the poorly received video in lieu of an in-person appearance. Chavez was in tears during the phone call as Kamala shredded her to pieces, called her an idiot, inept, horrible at your freaking job, and told her that her stupid advice is going to be the reason she loses. The joy is gone. Now, whether that story is true or false, we do know this. It does not look good from a PR standpoint to skip that dinner, especially since the last person who skipped that dinner lost the presidency in the Electoral College 49 states to 1. So you be the judge. Who won after last night? Was it Donald Trump for showing up and doing what he did? Or was it Kamala Harris for mailing in her video and how that actual video was received and the backlash from it? Why don't you give me your answers in the comments section below? I want to know what your opinion is, of course. And also, if you did miss some of the other delusional reactions from her Fox News interview, you could check out that video because it's coming up right now.